Good Wednesday morning to you, Academy. Welcome to Fantasy Football Academy 2020. And as always, I am the host, the Dean. So, you're getting ready to set your lineups, and you're wondering, who should I set? Who should I start? We got the Rams, the Browns, the Eagles, and the Bengals all on buys this week. So, we're losing a lot of fantasy here. We're losing Landry, Jarvis Landry, if you have him. You're losing Kareem Hunt. You're losing Golf, which might not be a bad thing based on last week's performance. Also, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Darrell Henderson. You're losing Wentz if you had him, Travis Fulgham, and then Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and if you were rostering him, A.J. Green. And also Giovanni Bernard, and if he was healthy, Joe Mixon. So there's a lot of looking going on, a lot of adjusting. If you have multiple players on buys, like I do this week, you're definitely looking for a plug and play, and hopefully my sit start list will help you out. I'm going to give you 3 wide receivers, 3 running backs, 2 tight ends, and 2 defenses, both sits and starts, to try to help you out in making those decisions. So let's get rolling. We've got start of the week. We got Big Ben versus Dallas. And just to give you a heads up, anyone you have going against Dallas, go for it. So line them up, knock them down. This is locked and loaded. So no big surprises here. Dallas is reeling. They just shipped off a couple of their defensive guys, defensive starters, as a matter of fact. So kind of trying to give a wake-up call to the D. Not really sure it's going to happen. Plus, you still have Ben DiNucci. That's right. 7th round sensation, Ben DiNucci. So if you have the defense, the Steelers defense this week, which I will tell you right now, in your league, if they are available, you're probably winning your league because those guys aren't too smart. The Steelers defense should be already rostered. It should have been drafted and never dropped. The defense in Pittsburgh has been phenomenal this year. They're one of the top fantasy defenses of the year. So they're going to be definitely in play. Hold on, guys. Got a little message coming through. Sorry, send me a TikTok. So anyway, yeah, I have a 16-year-old who's on TikTok constantly, or YouTube. So, but anyway, so yes, Big Ben versus Dallas as a start. Also, based on his performance on Monday or on Sunday night, Monday night. Daniel Jones versus Washington. I know Washington has a little better front line than most would expect, but so did Tampa Bay going into that game, and you saw what Daniel Jones was able to do then. I think that he can repeat that performance. So if you're looking for a streaming quarterback, I'm not saying, no, I don't want you to hear what I'm not saying. I want you to hear this. I'm not saying like take Daniel Jones as your every week starter, but if you are losing Golf, Wentz, Burrow, Mayfield, any of those guys, or you have a really tough matchup coming up this week, and you're looking to plug and play a starter who has a good amount of upside, Daniel Jones would not be that bad of a get. Now, a guy I would put more faith in is my number 3, Kirk Cousins versus Detroit. Look, Cousins has Justin Jefferson. He has Adam Thielen. He's got Dalvin Cook, and we saw what happened last week, okay? I don't think that this is going to be another Dalvin Cook, like just marathon of points coming across the board. So, because everyone saw what happened versus Green Bay. Detroit's not that much better, but with that said, I think there might be a concentration to stop the run, and if you're going to beat them through the air. So, if that's the case, I would say also that you could start Matt Stafford. My only hesitation there is that he's lost Kenny Galladay, and we've seen Marvin Jones isn't that good without Galladay. Okay, he had a chance to step up while Galladay was out, didn't take it. TJ Hawkinson actually probably gets the bigger bump, but he's probably rostered right now in most of your leagues. So I'm going to give you a couple other tight ends that people might have been upset with and dropped them that you might be able to find on the waiver wire. My sits of the week at quarterback, Ryan Tannehill versus Chicago. Look, I know what you're thinking. Look, it's Chicago. You can probably throw on them. It's going to be the run game. But I'm telling you right now, as long as Nick Foles, who's only averaging 17 points, is still the quarterback for Chicago, this is not going to be a need to throw game. This game script right here looks like it could be a Derrick Henry type game where it's just pound and pound and pound and pound, and Tannehill isn't needed. So now, if you went out and you spent a lot, you probably have AJ Brown. You probably went out and put Corey Davis really high on your waiver priority to try to get him. I'm going to tell you right now, I see the little ins arounds that Tennessee likes to run, try to get the wide receivers involved when they can't throw the ball. So that's a possibility, but that's probably the only way the wide receivers are going to get anything done in this game. My next one, Lamar Jackson. I know. He's been on this list more times than I care to remember. And last year, it wouldn't have even been thought of to put Lamar Jackson versus anyone. But we have seen time and time again that Lamar Jackson, maybe not the Ravens as a team, but Lamar in particular as an individual, does not do well against top-rated defenses. And he's going up against Indy. So until you can prove it to me, I'm sorry, Lamar, but I'm going to have to sit you down for this week, okay? If it's a weaker defense, then sure, go all out, fire them up, good to go. Now, one of my last week's starts is actually my sit this week. And no, I'm not drinking this early in the morning, even though I am in Louisiana, so it's totally acceptable. It's actually Crystal Light. Sorry, guys. No, the Dean is not getting tanked early in the morning. So Phillip Rivers is a sit this week against the Ravens. So I'm not going to be too hyped to fire up Phillip Rivers, even though I love him as a start. This week, he's going to have to be a sit for me. So running backs to start this week, James Conner versus Dallas. As I said, any Pittsburgh players, fire them up. Good to go. Aaron Jones versus San Francisco. Look, San Fran is reeling. And here's the thing. There's a little asterisk next to this. You're going to have to keep an eye on Aaron Jones's health. The only reason that I'm putting him in, he would not have been in here normally. But A.J. Dillon is out because of COVID, because Jamal Williams was deemed high risk. He also has been deemed out for Thursday's game. Now, will Aaron Jones actually make an appearance, or are they going to have to go with the third and fourth string timeshare in the backfield? What does that mean? That means you probably are going to look for any wide receiver you can on Green Bay, because they're going to have to be chucking the ball all over the place. Robert Tonyan is definitely in play this week, but he has probably been rostered in your league. There's going to be a couple of guys that I'm going to put here for tight end that a lot of people might have been upset with. Drop them, just anger drop. Just, I'm not dealing with a guy. And you can be the beneficiary of that. Go get him off the waiver wire. So we'll get to them in just a second. My third running back for this week, Antonio Gibson versus the Giants. Now, we saw the Giants be, relatively good against the run with Tampa Bay. But I will tell you right now, Antonio Gibson is a better runner, in my opinion, than Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. So that being said, fire up Antonio Gibson, fresh off the bye with the Giants. So my number one set of the week, of course, Zeke. Look, Ben DiNucci is your quarterback. You're running Wildcat pretty much anywhere on the field. So it's no surprise that they're trying to run everything through Zeke. Pittsburgh knows that. Do you really think that TJ Watt and company is going to allow Zeke to do anything? They're going to dare DiNucci to beat him. It's not going to happen. That's why Connor is the premier start of the week, because this game is probably not going to get that out of hand, and it's probably going to be low scoring as long as Pittsburgh allows it to be. Pittsburgh will probably score as many points as they want to score. So have fun if you have any offensive players or the defense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jonathan Taylor versus Baltimore. Look, if you saw what happened last week in Indy, Jonathan Taylor was not used that much. Nyheim Hines, Wilkins, and they were both used. So Jonathan Taylor just basically pulled the disappearing act. So if you have Taylor, please find a different avenue to go other than Taylor. Ronald Jones versus New Orleans. And here's the only thing that I say about Ronald Jones is, with the way that Bruce Arians is, if he makes a mistake, if he fumbles, he's getting yanked and Leonard Fournette's going in. So, it's basically a thing of you can't trust Ronald Jones and you can't trust what they're going to do. Plus the fact that this should be the return game from Michael Thomas. So expect this game to be high scoring. If you're a betting man, take the over. I don't know what the over-under is, but whatever it is, take the over, because this is probably going to be a very high-scoring game. Tampa Bay is not going to play the way they did against the Giants. I think they took the Giants for granted in the first half, and then they woke up at halftime. It was like, hey, we need to get our stuff together. And the Giants just really played inspired football down the stretch. So, wide receivers, start Will Fuller. Apparently, nobody wanted him. Apparently, there was a lot of interest, but nothing actually came of it after the trade deadline has just passed yesterday. There has been no word out of Houston that Will Fuller has been traded, so he remains the favorite target for Deshaun Watson. Coming off the bye, they get Jacksonville this week. I say fire up Will Fuller, lean on him until he breaks down, which, given his history, shouldn't be too long, but you can at least get this game out of him with Jacksonville. Number two, all Pittsburgh receivers, as I said before, versus Dallas. So you're firing up Claypool, you're firing up Deontay Johnson. There's way too many D's in this league for wide receivers. And you're firing up Juju as well, even though Juju has basically been anywhere between second and third fiddle to Deontay Johnson as long as he's healthy. Make sure you check the health of Deontay, but fire everybody up who can go. Cole Beasley versus Seattle. Now, I want to take a look real quick. Let's go wide receiver. And we'll go down here and check out Cole Beasley. Now, Beasley gets Seattle this week. Now, Seattle has made some strides in their defense. They've made some signings. And we see that he only had 4 points last week. I say throw that game out. But taking on Seattle this week, they're horrible. I think you will see the Cole Beasley return of at least the floor for this one. This was his worst game this season, so everybody has that one. He's projected up around 12 points this week. So a good plug and play if you need some wide receiver help this week, okay? You see in our league of record that he is rostered, but you can probably you might be able to find him on your waiver wire. Let's take a quick look. And these are the top 25. Here's one. Tim Patrick might be available to you also, as well as Nelson Aguilar. Tim Patrick going up against Atlanta. He's coming off of IR, so that's why he's carrying that questionable tag next to his name. Check his health before you start him. But Nelson Aguilar, free agent, could also be very good. Christian Kirk, if he's available, going against Miami. Could be another one. So, there we go. All right, guys. So we saw those two for wide receivers that you could possibly get on your waiver wire as well. Sits of the week. Allen Robinson versus Tennessee. Now, this is more because of who's quarterback rather than who he is facing. Even though Tennessee is a good defense, I have concerns about my boy Nick Foles. I love Nick Foles' story, and it's great, and it's cute, and it's inspiring, and all this other stuff. They might make a 30 for 30 with him and the Eagles later on, but as it stands right now, just go ahead and put Allen Robinson on your bench, or at least find somebody else you can plug in there. So, next up, all Cowboys receivers. As I said, as long as Ben DiNucci is the quarterback, you're not going to get good play out of this offense, especially when they're playing teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's see. Next up, Mike Evans versus New Orleans, and this has more to do with Antonio Brown making his debut. Also, the fact that it seems like Brady is getting back to his New England roots, where he is just throwing the ball all over the place, and you really can't rely on who he's going to go to. You don't know if it's going to be a Brown day, if it's going to be an Evans day, if it's going to be a Godwin day. And even if it is, you might get 2-3 receptions. But when they get down to the goal line, who does he always go to? That's right, his buddy Gronk. Mike Evans, you could wind up with a stat line of 4 yards and 2 touchdowns. But do you really want to take a chance if you have a better option? I say no. Again, take my advice for what it's worth. But I could not trust Mike Evans this week against New Orleans, especially considering him probably getting a matchup against Lattimore. So, the much anticipated tight end section. Tight ends are really scarce, but a couple of guys that might have been anger dropped last week or this, earlier in the season. Evan Ingram versus Washington. Look, Daniel Jones is going to have to go to somebody. They were talking about trading Evan Ingram, talking about him as trade bait, but nothing came of that. So he is still with the Giants, and he, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he saw 10 targets last week. Let me take a look real quick, and then I'll show you guys. Let's see. Take a look at his stat line here. Yeah, last week he had 61 receiving yards, which almost topped his high. Had 12 points. The week before he had 10.9. And I will show you guys here, right here. So against Tampa Bay, had 9 rushing yards, 61 receiving yards, no touchdown, but had his second best performance, and his best performance came against actually Chicago. So with Washington having a good front seven, kind of like Chicago does, then I don't see any reason why Evan Ingram can't have a good game against the my team formerly known as the Redskins. So hopefully he doesn't have that good of a game, but for fantasy purposes, he probably will have a startable game. Also, next up, another Steeler. You got it. Eric Ebron found the end zone last week. Had a really good game. So if you see him out there on your waiver wire, please go pick him up and start him immediately. Next up, sits of the week at tight end. Jonnu Smith against Chicago. And I know I just got done talking about Evan Ingram having a good game against Chicago, but Evan Ingram didn't have the injury problem. Jonnu could leave this game early with an injury, with a re-aggravated injury. This also could be a game script to where it's just Derrick Henry show. So this turns into the Derrick Henry show. Don't look for Jonnu to be anything but a secondary thought. Also, Mark Andrews versus Indy. Now, this is more about the quarterback than the defense, but the defense is stout. Quarterback play, like I said earlier, for Lamar has just not been there, and Mark Andrews is just too touchdown dependent. Unless he has a touchdown, he's a bust. So if you have, and I doubt you do, you're probably going to start him, but if you have a better option, if you have Eric Ebron out there, sit Mark Andrews down this week, fire up Eric Ebron, play the odds, play against the lesser of the two defenses, and enjoy the points. So as far as defenses go, you're looking to start the Patriots, and I know the Patriots have not been what they were last year, but they're facing the Jets, who are the 32nd ranked offense. Guys, it's the Jets and Sam Darnold. It's Adam Gase still at head coach. So until those things change, fire up the Pats, have fun, enjoy the points. Cardinals versus Miami. You can, if the Cardinals are out there on your waiver wire, go ahead and grab them, start them. You're facing a rookie in Tua who only threw for 98 yards. Yes, they won, but they won on the back of a absolutely dominating performance from the Miami defense and a extremely generous Jared Goff last week, who just turned the ball over constantly. So they're not facing the Rams this week. They're facing the Cardinals. The Cardinals will light this team up. They have the ability. They have the flexibility. This Tua is not Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray can run, he can escape, and he can throw. So go ahead and start the Cardinals up and enjoy the points. As far as sits of the week of defense, flip this one around. I know that a lot of you out there went out and grabbed Miami after that 26-point defensive performance turned in by their fantasy. But as I just said, this is not Jared Goff being generous. This is Kyler Murray. This guy's a different level. Okay. So keep that in mind. Please do not chase the points. And don't think that Arizona, who's the number 5 ranked offense, is going to be the same as a hit and miss Rams team. Okay. Bucks versus the Saints. Look, as I said, the Saints are the number 3 ranked offense here. They get Michael Thomas back, one of the most dominant wide receivers in the game. They still have Alvin Kamara. They still have Jared Cook. They still have Emmanuel Sanders. And if I last checked, Drew Brees was their starting quarterback, even though sometimes you might think it's Taysom Hill, who's also the tight end and receiver and running back and coach's nephew. That last one I can't prove, but it's the only reason why he gets in as much as he does. So, the Bucks versus the Saints, please, if there's a better option out there for you with defense, go ahead, because the Bucks will not be seeing at that much opportunity as they have been in the past. Okay, guys? So there is my start sit for week 9. I hope it helps you out. As many of you saw when you woke up this morning, we still do not have a elected president. So we're praying for the country. We're praying that this gets solved quickly. But remember that no matter who is president, Jesus is still king. So keep praying, keep hoping, keep your head up. And remember, keep tuning in Fantasy Football Academy 2020. Until next time, I'm the Dean. You guys are awesome. Remember to check out my sponsors, Zia of Lafayette on Doucette Road in front of Red Laurel's Health Club and behind the Grand Theater off of Johnson Street in Lafayette, Louisiana. Go down, check them out, check out their new menu. See Tucker and Heath and Leonard, all the guys down there. Tell them the Dean sent you and he says hi. Also, when you tell the Dean sent you at my other sponsor, Keller's Bakery at 627 Lafayette Street off the Youngsville Highway, you can get you 2 free cookies with your order. Okay, guys? So check them out. Show them some love. You can find Keller's Bakery on Facebook, and they do take orders there. Okay, guys? So as I said, next time, tune in. We'll see you then. Take care of each other and let me know if you voted. All right.